Hello everybody and welcome to the DisruptAbility podcast. Today we're talking to Yvonne Cahalane, who received the first licence for medical cannabis here in Ireland. Her son has a rare form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. Yvonne is an incredible woman and this is an incredible story. Thank you for listening.
So, hello Yvonne Cahalane. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you today on the DisruptAbility podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And you are an epilepsy awareness advocate and a medical cannabis advocate. So today we're going to have a very interesting conversation about your journey and how you got into this space around disability, etc. So,
thank you for having me. Yeah.
Delighted. Yes. So do you want to get started by telling us how did you get into this area?
Unfortunately, when we had our second little boy, he in his first year of life got a diagnosis of Dravet syndrome. So that is what led us down this path. It was trying to find out more about Dravet syndrome, trying to find out the treatment options that are available, what to expect, what it looked like, what the condition was involved, where it would affect them in life. It didn't look positive at all. In fact, most kids diagnosed with Dravet syndrome don't make it into their teens. So we were looking at a very bleak outlook, and the treatments that were currently available were just a rotation of pharmaceutical medications and a cocktail of them. So they'd combine 3 or 4 or sometimes more, and then when they would become intractable, as in they would wear off, they would rotate the combination or add in another one, and it was just a constant flow of all these pharmaceutical medications.
Mm-hmm. Can I just ask, what exactly is Dravet syndrome?
So Dravet syndrome is, its correct terminology is a catastrophic form of epilepsy. So it has a wide range of different types of seizures. So you can have absence seizures, which can be just stary. You can have drop attacks, which are atonic seizures. So people can just fall, and in those couple of seconds fall like a tree and they're back again. They can be very dangerous. There's a lot of injuries with those. Mm-hmm. Febrile, as in it's temperature related. Their temperature threshold is usually quite low. So a wide variety of seizures, uncontrollable, really difficult to stop, and prolonged. So they go into status, which is seizures lasting over 5 minutes. It used to be 30 minutes, but they've brought that down to 5 minutes, thank God. Mm-hmm. So very difficult to control. Mm-hmm. There's a risk of intellectual disability, mm-hmm. the longer the seizures go on. There's gait foot, there's bigger illness risk. In fact, the windpipe.
Yes.
I'm losing my words now, but it's narrower, so they are more prone to respiratory infection. I can't think of the right term now, but they're more prone to respiratory infection. Because
so there are many implications as a result of Dravet syndrome.
Yeah.
Right. So
treatment is usually broad. You have a lot of medical professionals involved: OTs, physios, neurologists, epileptologists, speech language therapists, and whole host of treatments. But
the whole multidisciplinary team are on board.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Yeah. But I think for Tristan, he was progressing too quickly. So they knew he was on the serious end of the condition. And in fact, there was a palliative care plan put in place for him as well, which we weren't told about initially, and I think that they actually done the wisest move there by not telling us initially. But they had prepped all angles of his medical team for him. So that led us to looking more into the condition, what to expect, the kids that don't make it, the kids that do, and how how their life is, what is their quality of life, and what other treatment options are out there. I found a chap in California whose little boy had seizures that they were so severe. He had such terrible side effects from the pharmaceutical medications. His liver was being affected. He had intellectual disabilities from the prolonged seizures. His doctors were literally at a point of, he's going to die anyway. Why not? Let's try medical cannabis. And it worked for him. He started to slow down on his seizures. He started to have less seizures, and eventually, through years and working with his doctor, got to a level where that little boy is now, 6 years older. He's coming into his teens. He has come off all pharmaceutical medications where they were at a point of saying he's not going to make it. There's no harm in trying whatever else.
Yeah.
So that led me to looking into the research further. Spoke with Raphael Meshulam in Israel. He led me to professionals in Canada, in America, and from there we picked our medical team, and we were able to go abroad and access medical cannabis.
Okay, so that was when medical cannabis was seen as maybe an alternative treatment, whereas now it's nearly mainstream. Am I right?
Yeah, I think it wasn't even being viewed as that at that point. There was still a lot of, and there probably still is a lot of stigma, but there was a heck of a lot of stigma attached to it even at that point. And I think it's ironic that the one condition that it helps, epilepsy, has so much stigma attached to it as well. So they have a connection even at that. It was big time taboo. Yeah, it was.
So what happened then? You found out that you could go to the States. So how did you do that?
So within a 4-month period of a diagnosis, we started fundraising. We found our medical teams. From the diagnosis, even though we had been prepped that this is likely what we're looking at, we had raised 77,500 in 11 weeks. It was crazy. The support was unbelievable.
Was this from West Cork, or was it from all over Ireland?
It went globally. Initially it was West Cork, and they were absolutely fantastic. Everything from bingos to cake sales to fashion shows, everything. We had set up a GoFundMe. We'd done a lot of interviews and a lot of public awareness about what we were looking for, and differentiating, the medical side of things and why we were going down this route. And we were answering a lot of questions on the radio. This is medical. It's, there were some people that thought, why would you give your child a drug like that, but we did change minds, and we changed doctors' minds, which was important. So in that time frame, we found our medical team. We went abroad. We had donations from Australia, we had donations from Spain, we had donations from America. It really did go globally. It was amazing. Then I left with Tristan. He was a 1.5 years old, and Daddy and Oscar, who was 3, stayed in Ireland.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is what I found incredible. You're an incredible woman, because you went over there for how long on your own with Tristan?
Yeah,
a year.
A year.
So the family actually had to split up.
We did.
To get the best treatment.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get this treatment in Ireland.
No, and at the time we couldn't even get it in Europe. So where now patients are able to go to the Netherlands and get their prescriptions and get overseen in care there. At the time when we were looking to do that, you had to be a resident for 4 years. So that didn't actually change until 2016. So we had no other alternative. It was America or nothing.
It was America or nothing. And where did you go in America?
So we had the opportunity for New York, Colorado, and we chose Colorado. It was more cost effective. Temperature was better suited. We cross-referenced everything to make sure that this would work better for Tristan.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic there. They're absolutely fantastic. And where they do have a legal side there, the medical aspect, it was fantastic, and you know, we were able to access an electronic health record system and get experience with that, and bring that experience back to the health service here, and so it was the best thing we ever done. Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving us a lot of information here. So there was a couple of things. Number one, you had to stay there a year. Was it to get the doses right for Tristan, so that when you did return to Ireland, you knew exactly what to do?
We built up a case. We built up a medical evidence to evidence-based. His medical files was the proof that this is working, and I think from all aspects, getting the reports from our physio, our OT, and him becoming so well that he didn't need some of these treatments anymore. I think by September we were actually doing well enough to be able to come home, and we had expected to come home. But unfortunately, I think things just didn't work out paperwork wise to be able to come home at that point, and it ended up being literally the year then. So
okay. And while you were there, you just mentioned the electronic tracker system, all your health records done online. Can you talk us through that a little bit? Because
so right now in Ireland, they've been working on it with a few years, getting the right electronic health record system in place, and where we're covered by GDPR, it's something that they have to make sure that both are combined and there's no breach. Where they didn't have that in America, that to worry about, part of the legislation. But it was incredible, absolutely incredible. It was one of the best medical experiences to be a part of over there. You could literally have the app on your phone, so I was able to log in like you would in your account on an app on your phone and access the medical files. So specific doctors in your medical team would have access to this, while the emergency department would over there as well. So if you came into the emergency department, if it was, you know, they never met you or your child before, they were able to log in, see every medication, every contraindication, an allergy, something that's, you know, not to be given, or the care plan, whatever it is, it's all there in the screen. They have it in every room. They can access this on an iPad when they come into the room. They have it on the screen, everything. So fantastic. It is so accessible. One of the beauties of it coming into Ireland here is taking the medical staff away from so many admin duties, keeping them with the patients in their duties in their work environment, rather than the files and looking for the blood work and a patient ringing up, what are the results, and they have to wait till they talk to a doctor, as opposed to this app or log in on your computer, or your doctor has it, and when your blood work is back, you get a notification, you click into the app on your phone or on your computer, and you see the blood work. At the same point, you know, an appointment system, you get an alert for an appointment, you click accept or you click decline, and you send in an alternative date. It is so efficient. Yeah. So perfect. The patient has access to it and the clinicians have access to it. So we're all speaking the same language. When can we expect to see this in Ireland? Good question. Yes. It's part of the expense of the children's hospital, you know, but I mean, you know, if you're going in there with a sick child, you don't care, you don't think about that. You think about, is this going to be the best medical treatment facility for my child? And you know, I can't wait for it. There's so much it can do, and the transparency of it. It's one of the things that that I really wanted to advocate for when I joined the Electronic Health Records board or panel for that, was to make sure that the patient had their access to their own files as well. It cuts down on cost. It saves time for the medical staff, but it really implants that trust back in the patient, in the system, that they can see exactly what is in their files. They can print it off if they want it, so there's no 3 months waiting for an FOI request to be cleared and then getting your medical files sent out in the post or anything like that. Everything is there when you need it.
So this is our future, and I'm really happy that you have highlighted this to the listeners on the DisruptAbility podcast, that this is what we can look forward to in terms of our health system going forward. Now, you came back to Ireland, and you and your family, you are the first people to receive a licence in Ireland for medical cannabis. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you go about that?
Long process. It was all while we were away. It was working with the doctors, the legislators, bringing evidence. Our doctors in America working with us as well. And I think, the evidence really was there. So, we were able to access it on a compassionate basis, access. But when we came back, I was invited to make recommendations to the Medical Cannabis Access Programme Committee, and I done that, and some things were implemented straight away. Like I emphasised, patients that would be driving and the need for them to not be criminalised if, they're not going to carry around their medical files with them if they're stopped at the road and they're tested. They need to have some security that they are still seen as patients. So legislation was changed for that. And I think it broadened in, and then it was left to the doctors and the evidence that this is something that needs to be seen as a medicine. So I think they brought expertise from different countries as well, and how their programs were working, and because we were not last but behind some of the other countries doing it, they were able to take a stand back and have a look at how theirs was working and how others were not working, and pick and choose and make a perfected system. I don't think it's perfect yet. It's a starting point. But
no, it's not perfect yet, because if my child is sick, I can go down to my local pharmacy and get whatever medication I need. Can you tell our listeners what you have to do to get the medication for Trista?
Okay, so right now, it's usually a 4 a.m. start. Get in my car, past my pharmacist in about a minute, drive an hour to the airport, take a flight to the Netherlands. Then take a train, then take a tram, and then a couple of steps to a chemist that looks no different to what ours does in our hometown, and present our prescription and collect our medicine. And the same back, a tram, a train, a flight, and an hour's drive home. And in all of that, I'm usually home, so it's a 4 a.m. start. I'm usually home at about 1 o'clock the following morning. Yeah.
And how often do you have to make this trip, Yvonne?
Every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
Yeah. So it's great that we can get it in a bulk like that. It would be better to just be able to walk over town with your script.
Like every other prescription.
Yeah.
So you get your prescription from an Irish consultant in Ireland for an Irish child.
Yeah.
But we have to go to another European country. Okay, I mean, we are a European country in Ireland, but we go to another European country to fill the prescription.
Yeah. Yeah.
All because we have uncertainty, or, as you said earlier, kind of taboo or stigma around a medication that has been proven, that we have evidence works.
I think the biggest problem was, and probably still is not knowing how to use it.
Okay.
As well as legal issues, there is. But I think if a doctor picks up their book on their desk and looks up Eplum or stirpental or any of these medications, they are able to just go, okay, this child, this age, this weight, this dose, this titration. They know how to wean it up, wean it down, everything is there, and it's a book, it's on every desk, and they know exactly what to do with it, and it's standardized. There's nothing like that with medical cannabis, at least not yet. I think it works very differently as well. It's not as easy as take a pill 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more work in it, and I don't think people understand that either, especially for conditions like Dravet, like seizure disorders. It is more work. It's more work in it.
Okay.
Less side effects, and it works. Whereas in Dravet, there's very few that do work, and particularly the side effects of some of the medications, and combined side effects are dreadful. Mm-hmm. But they don't have that. How do we work, and who do we fall back on? Do we have people? We have research. Do we have clinical trials? We don't have enough clinical trials. Do we have licensed products? No. So where we have something like Epidiolex, who have an FDA approval, who have received approval from the EMA, it's shockingly expensive and it treats a very narrow line of patients. Mm-hmm. So they don't have the protocol, I think. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of research happening. Mm-hmm. We have some incredible researchers in Ireland, and there's a lot of interest in it. So it will be broader. It will be. It's not there right now.
But what is the state of play right now? Have we a couple of products that have been licensed in Ireland?
We have a couple of products approved.
Okay.
We do. We have 2 particular products that are approved. I'm not sure if they're actually being prescribed yet, but they are they're ready for the MCAP. Yeah.
So if they're approved,
mm-hmm.
and if a doctor prescribes them, does that mean that a patient can buy them on the island of Ireland?
It means that they can, if they're being prescribed, it is the case of a patient going into their chemist with their script, getting their prescription. It'll be covered by the LTI, long-term illness book, your medical card, or if it is the case that you're paying for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, but you can get it in Ireland.
Yeah.
You've had a hell of a journey.
Yeah.
To get to this point, and you have so much information. You are such a resource for other families. You know?
Yeah. I hope so.
What are you doing in this area to let people know? Are you on social media?
I think I've just always left. I've thrown out my email, my phone number everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely helped patients get their license. I've guided them along the way. I've linked them with their doctors, be it in Ireland or Europe. I've helped them through the process of the licensing process. So step by step, what you need to do yet next, and mm-hmm. if there's questions that they're getting from their doctors, like how do we dose this, then I'll put them in touch with the professionals in Europe or in the States, and they get their questions answered mm-hmm. there, or at least the patient is more informed if it is something that they feel this is a route for them or not. Mm-hmm. There's some patients who are getting their license now who wouldn't be covered under the Medical Cannabis Access Programme, but they would be able to access it through a special license. Mm-hmm. So I think I've left myself just open. I'm here if you need me. Yeah. Some people have taken that. Some people have gone down maybe the food supplement route, mm-hmm. and chose that option instead. I'm here if I'm needed. Yeah.
No, you're fantastic. You've given me such information as well. Do you know how many people are travelling?
There's hundreds.
Hundreds.
There's hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah, there is hundreds travelling. I think where we have a fraction of that. I think close to 40 patients who are getting their license. Not everyone is seeking reimbursement. Not everyone is seeking a license, or maybe they're looking for a product that isn't standardized. I am an advocate for medical cannabis, but a safe medical cannabis product. There is such a difference in the products that are out there. There's patients that think they're getting medical cannabis and they're getting olive oil or they could be, they think they're getting CBD and they're getting pure THC. So it's so dangerous, it's so varied. There's a lot of online buying from patients for medical cannabis, and it's not necessarily what they're getting. So there is the risks there, and I think that's one of the reasons why it should be made a little bit easier for them to go down this route, if it's a route that works for them. I mean, this is where the doctors are critically needed. You know, there are medications that are contraindicated. There is pressure and there's risk on your liver if you're taking medications, or if you're in a treatment that it doesn't work for. So you need the advice of your doctors. I would absolutely
to look at you holistically. So I mean, you might take one product, but as you say, it can impact on something else.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and you go down this route of self-medicating, which a lot of patients either feel they have to, or they just prefer to go down a self-medicating route, and they don't know what their current medication is going to do with whatever this cannabis product is, how it's going to interact. It can aggravate it, it can neutralize it, it can nullify it, it can quadruple some effects of some epilepsy medication effects. So that is a ton of pressure to be putting on your liver. And if you're not getting consistent blood work done, checking the liver, you don't know if your medication needs to go up, or if you can come off it, which is the case with Tristan. Because he had constant blood work, we were able to see where medication was being increased, the effects of it were being increased, so we could actually reduce and eventually remove them altogether. So now he's nearly completely reliant on medical cannabis only. So from seeing that scientific proof.
I really want to thank you for giving us such clear and accurate information around medical cannabis, because I think it is a topic that sometimes becomes very emotional, or, as you say, because there's been such taboo or uncertainty around it for so long. But I think we're a mature nation now, and we have to have a mature conversation around medical cannabis. And if it is a medication that is working for many people, then Irish citizens should be able to access the product in Ireland.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't be leaving Dunmanway to get all the way to the Netherlands and back in a day for a product that your son is clearly thriving on. Thriving on.
Yeah.
Because that was the good news. You came in with me today. He had a checkup recently, and he's doing great.
Yeah, they're blown away. They're blown away. He's doing incredibly well for a child that had a palliative care plan before we left, to a child that is not reliant on pharmaceutical medications, will possibly get a seizure if he's sick, and at that we don't even need to rescue anymore. It's like 20 seconds, 40 seconds, and it stops on its own, and he's up 10 minutes later playing with his trains or reading a book or whatever. There's so many parts of his treatment that just don't exist anymore because he's doing so well. And like, realistically, I don't know if he'd even be here if we as a family don't believe he would be here if we hadn't gone when we did and got the treatment early enough that there wasn't brain damage or intellectual damage from the seizures. So it's...
And we'll say, like, Tristan is in school and he's doing well in school and life is going well, and it's all thanks to you actually taking the bull by the horns and getting the information, because it wasn't given to you easily. You actually had to really go out and search for that. We did. And I suppose I always come back to, that's the power of love, isn't it? As a parent, as a mum, the things that we'll do for our children, and that's what changes the conversation, changes the narrative, and changes the culture around disability. And that's what we're doing, having a new conversation around disability in 2020. So thank you so much for coming on to the DisruptAbility podcast. If people who are listening to this conversation today, if they want to follow you or read some of your stuff or contact you, how can they learn a little bit more about what Yvonne Cahalane has to say on this topic?
I think I typically get patients or people who want to know more through my Facebook page. It's just Yvonne Cahalane, or email yvonnecahalane@msn.com.
Perfect. And you're happy to take inquiries from people?
Absolutely, no problem. I'm used to it. Yeah, absolutely. So there's no problem for anyone contacting me. Yeah.
And it's the same on Inclusive Cork. We're always happy to answer questions for people around disability. You know, that's how if we share information, you know, we will accelerate this conversation and make it better for everyone in society. And that's what it's about.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so thank you so much, Yvonne Cahalane, for coming in today. And I can't wait to meet Tristan soon.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.